only half of the tomatoes.
Supposedly only Spanish men know how to cook that paella.
And you're supposed to squish them a little so that when they hit you, they don't knock you out.
Of course, it's just not a bull. It's a bull with the horns on fire.
It is total war.
Hello world, I've been waiting for a chance to see your face. Oh, oh, hello world, I am ready for a different kind of place. And I'm flying to somewhere else, 'cause I'm searching for something else. And I'm leaving, I don't know where I'm gonna land. Oh no, yes, I'm leaving, I don't know where I'm gonna land.
Hi, welcome to Travelers. I'm Barbara Alvarez.
I'm Pierce Bunting.
I'm Robin Kipp.
We're in the town of Buñol, tucked away in the hills of the region of Valencia in eastern Spain.
Valencia is known all over the world for its rich culture, traditions, food, and excellent music. And every August, the people of Buñol celebrate the Festival of San Luis Beltran.
The highlight of the festival is La Tomatina, the biggest and the greatest food fight in the world.
So stick around and find out this town's unique recipe for human tomato sauce.
Buñol's a little town set in Valencia, in the hills of Valencia, and that's the region of Spain that's on the eastern coast.
It's a very magical little town. It's nestled up in the mountains. There are a lot of cobblestone streets, labyrinths, a very hilly little town, a lot of stairs. There's this old castle in the middle of it. There's terraces looking down on the streets. There's cafes everywhere where people are sitting out, and it's got a very small town feel to it, but it's also very worldly.
Each town in Spain has a patron saint. Buñol's patron saint is San Luis Bertran. Buñol celebrates the Fiestas de San Luis Bertran. It's a 10-day festival where they play traditional games, and they have food contests, and they have processions, and they have very important musical events. And what makes it even more special and different from other festivals in other towns is La Tomatina, which is the huge tomato fight that happens on the last Wednesday of every August. The first event of the whole festival in Buñol is the carretones. And these are these carts made out of wood that carry people down this hill. And they make them themselves. They divide up into teams. Sometimes one person hops on, sometimes 5 people hop on, and they just go right downhill through the streets of Buñol. These aren't very sophisticated carts. You know, we're not talking major equipment, not even a steering wheel. They've got 2 handlebars that come up in front, and they'll lie down on their stomachs and try to steer it this way, which kind of scares me. I mean, if they stop, if something stops that front part of their cart, they'll take off like a rocket off of that carretone. It's dangerous regardless. People are standing there with their helmets and patting on their knees and patting on their elbows and still getting hurt. You're going to be in the race today.
Yes. Yes.
And are you afraid?
No, no.
It's downhill, though. Really fast.
Very fast.
And you're not afraid?
No, because I have experience.
You have experience. How many years?
I took part last year.
So where do you sit? One person lying down. And do people push? Do you push? Yeah? And there are no brakes on them?
No, no, no.
There are no brakes on them?
No brakes.
What happens if you have to stop?
Jump.
Jump? Bail! Jump off.
Pray.
Pray?
We will look for the hay.
You'll look for the hay barrels. So if you need to stop, what do?
We haven't thought of that.
Yeah, you haven't thought about that. Miguel was all excited. He was about to go down. And he and his friends got on the cart, and they're pushing it down the hill. And, I mean, by this point, it's blood and guts. People are trying to cut each other off, you know, it's win or die type of thing. Apparently, the cart couldn't hold them, and the backboard broke, and they turned sideways and ended up rolling down the hill. He had a great attitude about it, though. He just had a smile on his face. He had a good time, and he was hopeful for the next race. They go down there really fast, and some of the guys got hurt. I saw them, they had skinned their elbows, but so badly, they had really taken off a couple layers of skin. Whoa! I didn't realize this was this dangerous. Ooh. Do people often crash, or?
Yes, but it is more dangerous even for the people who's watching. Last year, there were two people hurt.
Supposedly, somebody rolled over someone's legs and broke their legs. There are a couple people who were knocked unconscious. And these people are wearing helmets and they have pads on, and even with all this, they still got hurt. So, I mean, it is a lot of fun, but I think what makes it a lot of fun is that little element of danger. Miguel was not on a string of good luck. I mean, after going down on the three-person and, you know, sliding sideways and rolling off on top of one another, he went into the five-person race, and they came in last. At least this time they finished. Was it scary?
No. The speed is not so high. Not so high, as people may think.
Is this the last thing?
The last, yes, I think.
And so you're going to get ready for next year?
For next year, I hope.
Well, good luck. Thank you so much.
Vale.
I hope to see you, Tomatina.
Vale, sí, seguro.
Hoy van a hacer una procesión a la ermita. ¿Para qué? Today they're going to have a procession in a few minutes to the chapel. And I'm asking you what they're doing.
Bueno, mira, simplemente es para traer el patrón del pueblo. Está todo el año en su ermita. Está un poquito alejado del pueblo, y la semana de las fiestas lo tenemos aquí en la iglesia parroquial del pueblo.
En la iglesia parroquial. So they have him in a church that's just outside of town the whole year. The patron saint of this festival and of their town.
What is his name?
¿Cómo se llama el patrón?
San Luis.
San Luis.
San Luis.
So now they're going to have a procession and bring him here to the church right in town.
It started out with the queen of the societies and then the main queen of the festival. And following her was the band, La Armónica. And they're a wonderful marching band. And they escorted these queens all the way down the street to this church.
The opening night procession of La Armónicas is a trip to get him and bring him back into town, where he'll be right in the center of things for everyone to make offerings to and to pay respects to him.
There are fireworks, there are lights that line the city streets. procession was like something you'd see in a movie, you know, in a Hollywood movie. I mean, these tiny little cobblestone streets, the queen of the festival, with the townspeople walking and this marching band.
This is only half of the tomatoes in the tomatina.
Just started to get the smell, the taste, and the feeling of what it was going to be like to be an ingredient in tomato soup on the streets of Buñol.
Explore your world. Daytime.
They've got the scoop on everything.
With interior decorating, recreation ideas, health tips, hobbies, home repair.
Gourmet food.
See for yourself.
It's not one thing.
It's everything.
Where do I start?
Daytime on the Discovery Channel.
You Americans work too hard.
If you ask me, you could use a holiday in a place that's made for it. Australia.
Well, summer's in December, just when you need it the most. For the winter, though, you need to throw in something a little warmer.
Bet 2 weeks can fill the rest of your life with stories.
So why don't you pop on down? There's plenty of room. For a free Australian travel planner, ring us at 1-800-DOWN-UNDER.
Hey, it's not as far as you think.
We look at the broad strokes. We see the fine line. We explore relationships. The New York Times. Every day we reveal a world of discovery that others miss. Like the mess within so many of our institutions. The New York Times. Expect the world.
It's smart time on the Mazda Protege LX Sports Sedan. $12,995. Add cruise and power everything and the price goes to... Add air conditioning and the price jumps to... Add 4-speaker cassette and the price soars to... Add the best basic warranty in its class and, hey, you get the idea. Now get the passion. And 2.9 for $36.
Coming up, satisfy your curiosity with television's best hour of science and technology, Beyond 2000. Then get the lowdown on high-tech, cool stuff. Next Step, followed by Weekday Wings. Coming up on the Discovery Channel.
Did you know there are over 1,800 companies that sell life insurance? That makes it impossible to compare the rates of every company. And since the rates for the same coverage are often different from company to company, many people overpay when buying term life insurance. Well, there's a free service from SelectQuote Insurance Services that can help make sure you don't overpay. SelectQuote continually compares the costs of term insurance policies from many top-rated companies like Kemper, Travelers, CNA, and others. Call toll-free and SelectQuote will mail you 5 of their lowest quotes in a simple, easy-to-read comparison. For example, a man age 40 who doesn't smoke can get $100,000 coverage for just $169, or $250,000 coverage for just $310. And you can lock in these low rates for 10 years. Don't overpay. Call SelectQuote now and see how much you can really save.
For a free comparison of the 5 lowest cost term policies for you, call SelectQuote at 1-800-335-7800. That's 1-800-335-7800.
A festival like this has its beginning somewhere. And I wanted to find out exactly how the Tomatina started. Every year, the last Wednesday in August, there's always this huge tomato fight. Now, how did this all start? So I went around and just asked random people, how did the Tomatina start? Okay, 40. Okay, she says that in 1940, that a bunch of friends got together and, as a joke, just started pelting tomatoes at each other.
Hay varias versiones, pero la más llevadera.
There was a man that came to town. He was a representative, and he was wearing a completely white outfit. And a man from Buñol saw him and pelted him with a tomato.
Pues estaban unos hombres en el bar almorzando y vinieron unos y empezaron a tirarse tomates.
These guys were eating lunch at a bar, and they started throwing tomatoes at each other as a joke.
No sé
de broma, se tiraron en la ensalada, empezaron a tirarse tomates.
At a dinner, a bunch of friends were together, and as a joke, they started picking up the salad and throwing it at each other, and slowly but surely got to the tomatoes. And that's where the tomatina started. Pierce and I had the opportunity to meet Francisco Garces, or Don Paco, as we called him. He is one of the originators of La Tomatina. He is one of the kids, that started this whole tomato fight.
Guapos y ricos y sin tener nada que hacer. Estamos sentados en la plaza, al lado del ayuntamiento, que habrán visto.
And he wanted to give us the definitive version of how the tomatina started.
He was sitting in the plaza with his 10 or 12 buddies, and they were sitting near the ayuntamiento, the city government, and it was festival time. So there were people parading the streets, playing the clarinet.
The San Luis Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So next to this place where they were sitting, there was a store where they sold vegetables.
Y había un cajón con tomates. Un cajón para venderlo, de tomates.
There was a box with tomatoes there. So they wanted to see which one of the guys could throw a tomato and hit the guy that was singing in the megaphone. Who could get the tomato in the megaphone?
A bunch of bored kids sitting in the plaza one afternoon trying to throw a tomato into a megaphone, being used by a man, turned into this huge tomato fight that we have today.
Y al año siguiente es cuando verdaderamente empezó la lucha del tomate.
So the following year, el año 45, the following year, 1945, was the year that officially began the tomatina.
An official who was visiting one day to the town of Buñol during the fiesta in a beautiful suit got beamed with a tomato and got his suit all dirty. And so he went to the town council and said, this is it, this has to stop. And so they said, that's it, no more tomatina.
O sea que si quieres llegar a esto y ahora continuamos.
Entonces, the following year, people came to him, his friends, hey, aren't we going to do anything this year? What about this tomato thing? And I guess he, being the leader, decided that they were going to have el entierro del tomate, or the burial of the tomato. Everyone was dressed in black. They buried the tomato next to the city government building.
Eventually, people just got so sick of this procession. They wanted their food fight back that in 1959 it started again.
Pierce asked Paco if he had any of the outfits that he'd worn or any of the clothes that he'd worn in past tomatinas, and he mentioned that he did. As a matter of fact, he did, and he brought out a doctor's robe that he had worn in previous tomatinas and that his son wore.
Try it on, Bob.
Sí, claro que lo presto.
Oh, Barbara, you get to wear that. It's perfect for you.
I'm the good doctor.
You're the good doctor.
Tomato doctor.
The tomato doctor.
Una bata de médico, ¿no?
Médico.
Wouldn't have had quite the exciting time we had in this town if it wasn't for Don Paco and his hospitality and his generosity. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias. La hemos pasado muy bien.
Thank you for this. We'll wear it with pride.
Pierce and Robin and I wanted to find out where all of the tomatoes came from for the tomatina.
So we went to this town called Chilchas, which is outside of Buñol. Why do you come to Chilchas to get your tomatoes?
¿Por qué vienes a Chilchas para sacar sus tomates?
Queda la mitad de lo que necesitamos.
I guess to get the half of what they need for all the tomatoes, they've got about 50,000, wait, how many, 50,000 kilos, something like that.
Kilos.
Of tomatoes.
In the past, before tomatina became such an international event, people used to bring their own tomatoes. Now the City Hall purchases the tomatoes for the town.
What do you look for in a tomato when you're buying it for the tomatina? Does it have to be ripe? Is it hard? Is it big, small?
Chafarlos para que si pegan alguna zona del cuerpo más débil, pues como puede ser el ojo o alguna cosa, pues que no hagan excesivamente daño.
He said they look for very ripe tomatoes, but sometimes that's not possible. You know, you're not going to always have complete quality control. So the tomato thrower has to mush the tomato, use his judgment, and mush the tomato before he throws it if he feels that it's just too hard, because you don't want to hurt someone.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great one.
So, these and all of these?
Todo esto.
There's one. All of these.
in the tomatina.
I was a little concerned that people were going hungry with all these tomatoes being thrown around, but we were assured that there are a lot of tomatoes grown. Some of them are grown especially for the tomatina, and that the city puts aside a small part of its revenue to make contributions to hunger causes. It's a lot of tomatoes, man. Just started to get the smell, the taste, and the feeling of what it was going to be like to be an ingredient in tomato soup on the streets of Buñol.
We must have had at least 10 cooks around our paella. Everyone was saying, well, you know, too much water, that's just too much water. And someone's saying, that's not enough water. And don't put the rice in yet, put the rice in now. Wait a minute, you gotta put this in first. Don't put too much saffron. I mean, everyone had their own comments.
Not again.
I was a 98-pound weakling.
Bully.
Then I called for the free Texas Travel Guide. It's swell. Everywhere I go, I carry the entire state of Texas with me. From the canyons of Big Bend to the big city. And thanks to the Texas Travel Guide, I found the beaches where the people are friendly.
Howdy.
No more sand in the face for me.
For your free Texas Travel Guide, call 1-800-8888-TEX.
The horses really don't like me. They think, oh, well, there's that darn truck. It's time to go to the barn. I don't want to be ridden today. That's not my fault. I don't ride them. I just take them where they need to go. They blame me. Can you believe? But luckily, my owner, he takes care of me. He knows my engine's made for a high-octane gas like Chevron Supreme with Techron. And that Techron, it helps keep my emissions low.
No premium outperforms Chevron Supreme with Techron. Chevron, simply smarter.
My emissions are fine. The horse's emissions, they're questionable.
The human race is driven to explore new worlds, to learn more, to go faster. It's true in space, and it's true in cyberspace.
New X2 technology is here from US Robotics. Downloads nearly twice as fast as other modems. US Robotics. We make the world's #1 selling modem. For faster downloads with X2 technology, call your internet provider.
People, we're here to discuss a threat to our private playground, the internet. Sprint Internet Passport. Notice the software that makes sense of all the technical stuff you used to need a nerd for. A powerful menu that makes it easy to find what you want. It even has 24-hour expert assistance, not to mention a big shot spokesperson to tell everyone about it.
So what's stopping someone like my mother from getting on the net now?
Nothing.
Oh, that's
Sprint Internet Passport with unlimited use. Call now for 30 days free.
Today on the Discovery Channel. 5 days all week. Strap in. Brace yourself. Weekday Wings. Today at 7 Eastern, 6 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Tonight, animals teach us what the hunt is all about on Wild Discovery. Then, is Egypt the home of the mummy? Find out on Discover Magazine. And the U.S. finally defeats Germany's deadly submarine on U-Boat War. Tonight on the Discovery Channel.
We're in front of the Central Market in Valencia, and we're with our friends Luisa Farnell and Ingmar Rebelles, and we're going to go shopping for things to make paella with, because there's a big paella cook-off in Buñol tonight, and we're going to win it. Ready? Okay, let's go.
Paella is made all over Spain, and it's unique here. So I was really excited to find out what goes into this, what exactly it's all about, and everything.
We got rabbit,
herbs, chicken,
beans,
saffron, olive oil,
tomatoes,
snails, rice, and I knew rice. That was about it. Vegetables, meats.
And finally, we picked up a paella pan. Now, a paella pan is a shallow pan, and it has to be shallow just so that the rice will cook just so.
Okay, so, rabbit?
Yeah?
You know, when you buy a rabbit, it just sits there in the display case, skinned. That's a real sight to see sometime. You should try getting one of those. So we took all this stuff, and we went into Buñol and entered the paella cooker.
We get out to the field where the paella contest was going to happen. And as soon as I got out there, I was just like, all right, this is my kind of party.
There's fire after fire, rows of them, and you see everybody with their ingredients in their pans. Thank goodness there were some people there that would help us. Our problem is that these people took over our paella.
Everyone's fighting over which ingredients go where and when.
I mean, we kind of just stood back because they were calling all the shots, you know. They seem to think that paella is a man's game.
It's like rocket science to these men. That the oil has to be just the right temperature. You can throw the meat in first and let the rabbit and the chicken that we bought cook. And not until they're cooked perfectly, then you add the beans. And then you add the tomato. And Luisa was trying to add the tomato sauce. I said, no, back off. And she was getting really angry.
Everybody's a cook.
It's kind of like barbecuing in America, you know. Only men know how to flip those steaks. Well, supposedly only Spanish men know how to cook that paella.
What's going on with these guys? What happened?
What's going on? I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
You know, at the beginning, we come here and we have nothing just to put on the paella, so they were very polite, gave us some breaks and food and everything. But, you know, when we began to cook the paella, they started, give me salt, give me the water, give me tomato, and I feel like throwing him into the paella.
So these guys stole our paella cooking.
Yes, really.
We decided to add snails to our paella, and when you buy them, you put them in a jar full of water. To make them kind of peek their heads out, you shake it up a little bit.
See, they're kind of coming out of their shell.
The guys around the pan really trusted us after that.
We must have had at least 5 to 10 cooks around our paella. Everyone was saying, well, you know, too much water. That's just too much water. And someone's saying, that's not enough water. And don't put the rice in yet. Put the rice in now. Wait a minute, you got to put this in first. Don't put too much saffron. I mean, everyone had their own comments and own ideas of how paella should be made.
Mucha carne para el caldero tan pequeño. She says the pan is too small for so much meat. ¿Qué dice usted?
Que tanto romero puede amargar.
She's saying that the romero, the spice we just put in it, will make it bitter.
Claro, y la cabeza no se rasca ahí al lado de la comida.
And she's saying that Pierce should not be scratching his head right next to the pan.
Oh, okay. Okay. No mud. No mud.
Because she knows she's right. This one's saying that there's enough water, and this one's saying that there's more water, otherwise the rice will not cook.
We found out that one of these guys was one of the judges.
This guy here? Yeah. You mean he's one of the judges? And he's helping us make it? Yes. Of course we're going to win. What, are you crazy? Ahora se saca.
It is a little underdone.
Now, the debate is whether the rice is too hard or not.
No, quitar eso que tiene, eso tiene pintura y eso es veneno. Hombre, ¿cómo vais a poner eso? Sí. Eso tiene pintura.
Get it out.
Está un poquito durito.
He thinks it's a little hard.
El año que viene lo haré yo y os llevaré el primer premio. Bien hecha, ya lo veréis.
Next year, she's going to help us, and we're going to get first place.
I was enjoying this so much. I was enjoying just all the chaos, all the back and forth. I was enjoying just seeing everybody so passionate about this paella.
Barbara and I had met Don Paco earlier, and so we figured we had another connection there on the judges' table. And I even attempted to buy Don Paco off. I waved some pesados in the air at him, but and he said, no problem. He would pick up the large trophy and go, yeah, sure. So I thought we had him in the pocket, but when he tasted our paella, he went, "Ugh." I found out later he gave us a 4 out of 10. Don Paco's a traitor.
Oh, yeah.
Our plate made its way down the row of judges, and I don't think we did well at all. I think one woman, just out of compassion, gave us a 10.
This is the rabbit.
No.
And it was a great time. When it was done, we put it on the ground, and everybody grabbed a bunch of spoons, and everyone just dug in. I felt like we had a chance to see what they're about. And we had a chance to celebrate with them. I mean, on a real personal level, not just watching a procession.
We had a great time. Wait a minute, and thank you for giving me the stick to pull the snail out with.
What a pleasure.
Here it comes, here it comes.
Is it nice? Is it nice?
Yeah, it's fun. More chicken.
So his horns were just that much longer and that much more dangerous with fire on them.
As soon as that thing with the flaming horns turns on you, you start running and screaming like a little baby.
Next, welcome to the future. Be amazed by new technology, gadgets, and things beyond your imagination. Beyond 2000. Coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
This Subaru Outback is pretty impressive.
What wrong there?
It gets better gas mileage than a Cherokee, holds a turn tighter than a Blazer.
Don't forget acceleration.
Acceleration.
That's right. Go 0 to 60 faster than an Explorer.
Competition must be worried.
Oh, yeah. They're scared stiff. Subaru Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon.
Today, some very unlikely people woke up and decided to change the world. A small shop owner set wheels in motion in faraway lands. A young designer made people sit up and take notice oceans away. A publisher stirred imaginations and turned classrooms into kingdoms. And a dressmaker helped brides everywhere become just that much more enchanting. How did such ordinary people come by such extraordinary powers? Believe it or not, all it took was the wave of a wand. The simple touch of a finger that let them open new doors, create excitement, and reach farther than ever before. People didn't always possess such global power, but with FedEx, it's the way the world works.
Tonight on Wild Discovery. Strength, skill, stealth, speed, strategy, predators. On Wild Discovery. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on the Discovery Channel.
After the paella contest, the town of Buñol is pretty quiet. So our friend Juan here suggested we come to the town of Alcácer, where the bulls are running tonight, and I think some of us are going to try it, right?
I don't know. Maybe. We might be hiding from the bulls. Are you going to do it? Sure. Yeah? We will. Okay.
One day after the festival activities were over in Buñol, Juan, one of our Spanish friends, suggested we go out to a town called Alcácer, where we could see or we could do some running of the bulls.
Right behind us is the bull ring. They're getting ready to let the bull out. It's going to run free through the streets of Alcácer.
And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so people are not tired because we're in Spain. This is normal for them.
But we still haven't decided who's going to run the streets of the bulls.
Yeah.
And of course, it's just not a bull. It's a bull with the horns on fire.
Yeah, a flaming bull.
It's like challenging. And it's propane.
It wasn't that they set the bull's horns on fire. It looked that way. But what it was, they had put these like prosthetic devices on the horns, and on the end of these clip-ons was a ball that they lit on fire.
so that his horns were just that much longer and that much more dangerous with fire on them.
And I thought, wow, this is medieval.
And they let this bull out of the arena, and you're sitting up there and you watch it run out, and it starts going, and you go, ah, and it goes past you. And then it's time to jump off the bleachers and go chase it.
I thought I would just watch the others. Robin and I had talked about it, and she didn't know that she would do it either. But the minute I saw that bull go by and people running, I jumped down off the bleachers, and I was running right after it.
It's got an ugly, seamy side to it. This bull is not happy. It's running on pavement, and it slips and falls down a lot. It's completely disoriented. And again, like everything else in Spain, this takes place at 3 o'clock in the morning, okay?
Yeah, it was scary, but at the same time, it was funny. And it was weird, and it was wacky.
I just jumped off the barricade and started running down the street, and it was such a rush. I thought, this is incredible.
Robin was the most fearless, which surprised me, not because she doesn't have a lot of gumption, but because she was really scared to do it to begin with.
You don't know, once it's run down one of the corridors, if it's going to come back that direction or around a different way.
This has been the biggest rush, the biggest adrenaline high. It's been incredible.
The more I was out there, the closer I got to the bull, and the little more courageous I got. And I got a little too courageous. Pierce said, Robin, don't run backwards. Run to the side over to the barricade. And I'm thinking, that makes sense, because it seems like the bull would run directly out. So I run to the side, and the bull comes right to the side of the barricade.
That was adrenaline, total adrenaline. I could have climbed up to the second story. I am so scared.
¿Quién es más macho? ¿Quién es más macho? El toro or Pepe Lu?
It's real easy to feel a lot of machismo and bravura when you're chasing a bull, but as soon as that thing with the flaming horns turns on you, you start running and screaming like a little baby.
In Buñol, music is especially important. They have two bands, La Artística y La Armónica. Each band has their own day in the festival.
I don't think we realized we were right in front of Artística headquarters.
I'm an eye doctor because I want to help people see better. At LensCrafters, I always provide a thorough eye exam. I can check for glaucoma, cataracts. Patients are going to know at the end of the exam that I cared about their eyes.
I like them.
It's a very personal thing.
LensCrafters, helping people see better 1 hour at a time. Mexico, a country of endless color. Come discover the endless blues and sparkling whites of our Caribbean, our Pacific, our Gulf. Discover the endless colors of our villages, our traditions, our arts. Discover our famous greens. Now is the time to discover the endless colors of Mexico. Come to Mexico today and begin an endless journey.
Worried that no one will visit your website? AT&T can drive customers right to your door. AT&T, nobody makes it easier to catch the wave.
I took a picture of Saturday. Not a special Saturday, just a regular Saturday with a Kodak Funsaver camera. I took a picture of my feet, with socks and without. Then of my dog, Hubert. Then of my bowl of cereal. Then of my mom and dad. And to keep them true, I had the Photoshop develop them with Kodak Premium Processing. And this museum guy was there who said,
your pictures are mundane yet iconoclastic, data is yet relevant, flesh yet bone, obscure yet naked, firm and wrong. Certainly you would sell them to the museum.
Nah.
For $100 grand.
Deal. An opening night, the Sky set.
What was your inspiration?
It's my life. You never know what's going to happen, so I carry a Kodak Funsaver camera. The way some people carry a page.
Brilliant! What's next?
I think I'm going to take a picture of Sunday.
Explore. Welcome
to the future. Be amazed by new technology, gadgets, and things beyond your imagination. Weekdays on the Discovery Channel. Satisfy your curiosity. Get the lowdown on high-tech, cool stuff. Beyond 2000, followed by Next Step. Explore television's best hour of science and technology. Beginning next on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter.
Hotter?
Like yesterday.
Yesterday? Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call today.
You call now.
I'll call now.
Now's the time to save on Sears installed central air conditioning. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, and no payments until June with the Sears Charge Home Improvement Plan. Call now for a free in-home estimate on a Kenmore air conditioning system. State-of-the-art engineering means greater energy efficiency. A new Kenmore could save 10 to 44% on your annual cooling costs. In time, even pay for itself. Sears also offers fast emergency installation, a 5-year warranty on parts and labor, plus our satisfaction guarantee. And you know Sears will be there to back it up. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, no payments until June. Offer ends March 31st, so call now and save with Sears.
So what's the paper say about tomorrow?
Another scorcher.
Cool.
In Buñol, music is especially important. They have two bands, La Artística y La Armónica. La Artística and La Armónica each have their own association, and they have about 2,000 members each.
La Armónica is also known, their nickname is Los Litros. Litros as in a liter glass, and they wear necklaces with little metal liters on them, which is their symbol. La Artísticas are known as Los Feos, or the Uglies, because the man who started La Artísticas wasn't a very attractive man, and they jokingly referred to him as, they referred to the whole band as Los Feos, because he was an ugly, so they're all the uglies. And people are born with music in their hearts and souls in Buñol. It's such an important part of the fabric of these people and of their life, their day-to-day life.
De 2 meses. Esa niña antes de nacer ya era socia de esta.
That little baby, before she was born, she was already a member of this association. So that just gives you an idea of what the tradition of belonging to this association.
So it's passed down family by family.
Entonces, hoy en día sí
Si eres de los feos, if you're of the uglies, you're always of the uglies. If you're of the leaders, you're always of the leaders.
Hoy en día ocurre que...
These are bands that are known throughout Europe and certainly considered 2 of the very best bands in Spain.
You have to know that in this little town, there are 2 bands, and the competition of these 2 bands is as much as important than the music. I think that's very personal. They don't like music. They like the competition.
The competition is so fierce between these 2 associations, the 2 bands, that people have literally, we were told, have literally fought.
Va a aplaudirle a su banda, va a querer que le gane a la mujer al marido, el marido a la mujer.
I'm married.
He says that 20 years ago, it wasn't common for someone from the feos to marry someone from the litros, or someone from the artísticos to marry someone from the armónicos. But today it's more common. People, of course, have evolved and have become more cultured, and there are more intermarriages. Each band has their own day in the festival. Artística's day is called La Fiesta del Mantón, which is a shawl. We started to notice all of these little girls dressed in their traditional dress. Like, they looked like adults. They looked like Spanish princesses or something. I don't know, they were so cute.
The mantón is a shawl, embroidered silk, that is folded into a triangle. The point of it hangs down in the lower back, and then the other 2 corners come around the arms and drape around the arms like this. These are very intricately embroidered little tapestries, some of which are very old, have been handed down from mother to daughter. The young girls all walked in a line to the young queen's house. There were big tables of food, and everyone, just like a bunch of starving artists, walked into the house and went and started eating it. Then they came outside and they threw what smelled like basil down on the ground for the young queen to walk on.
From there, we went to the senior queen's house, and we picked her up and also had a little reception there. She was waiting in her doorway with her grandfather, and I could see that he was so emotional and he was so proud. From there, we walked to the Monte Carlo Theater, and that is the home of the Artistica Association. There, we picked up baskets of flutes and flowers and gorgeous arrangements. And we walked to the church where the patron saint was.
Pierce Barber and I went to see the parade, and we sat along the curb, but I don't think we realized we were right in front of Artistica headquarters.
There were 10 bands that were invited to participate from neighboring towns, and 20 groups of dancing teenagers called comparsas.
The comparsas are a combination of a band and a bunch of dancers. And they're made up of teenagers from Buñol, as are the dancers. They're known as the happy bands. And their job is to make you happy. Bringing up the rear of this big procession was L'Artistica's band. It was the big marching band and plays L'Artistica anthem. People are hanging off the balconies of their houses. The streets are crammed with people on the sidewalks and in chairs, and they're all singing the theme together. Then the theme ends, and then fireworks are shot off the roofs of the houses right around the club. The sky's just filled with the color of fireworks, which is a beautiful end to the procession. The day arrives, La Tomatina.
The tomato throwing will not start until someone finally grabs the lucky ham and brings it down.
A hailstorm of tomatoes. People just getting pummeled.
Is your brush working as hard as you? The Advantage can from Oral-B, the brand more dentists use themselves. It has micro-textured bristles designed to clean plaque with the whole bristle. With triple the cleaning surfaces, each bristle works harder. The Advantage from Oral-B.
So much bigger than last time.
Do it all in a day? No way!
This is SeaWorld?
Been promising to spend more time with your family? How about a cruise on the Big Red Boat and a trip to Walt Disney World? We'll do our best to make sure you have fun. Promise. The Big Red Boat. Kids vacation free, you know. Call your travel agent or 1-800-DREAM-54.
Next, welcome to the future. Be amazed by new technology, gadgets, and things beyond your imagination. Beyond 2000. Coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Tonight on Wild Discovery. Wild. Strength, skill, predators, stealth, speed, strategy, super odds. Don't look away. Animal, cannibal, whatever it takes to stay alive. Predators. On Wild Discovery. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Miss a night and you miss a lot. On the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
The day arrives, La Tomatina.
Okay, it's almost 10 o'clock. The Tomatina starts in an hour. How you doing? How you doing, Rob? We had about 2 hours of sleep because people stay up late here in Espanol.
Espanol.
We got our white shirt. goggles. You got our protective goggles? Should they fit?
Don Paco's robe.
Famous robe. Ready to go. How you doing, you guys? Ready?
Originally, it was just in this town plaza because there weren't that many people participating in the tomatina, but now it's just become this huge thing where like 25 and 30,000 people show up to throw tomatoes.
I saw people putting up these huge sheets of plastic covering their houses and covering their storefronts. They were boarding up their windows and boarding up their doors. Now, I'm from Miami, and this is the way we get ready for hurricanes. Piers had the chance to ride on one of the tomato trucks. Robin and I went out to the street before the festivities started, or before the Tomatina started.
And everyone's starting to gather. It's really early in the morning. Some people are sleeping on the sidewalks just waiting for things to start to get going. They have this giant greasy pole and a ham at the top of it. And the tomato throwing will not start until until someone finally grabs the lucky ham and brings it down.
We saw these men walking around with these blue buckets just throwing water at people. And, you know, I thought, no big deal. People were getting soaked, but, you know, there were just like 3 or 4 guys walking around throwing buckets of water at people. I thought I could dodge these buckets. I got a bucket dumped on me. Robin got a bucket dumped on her, and every other dry person in the town square was wet by the time Tomatina started. People start to rip each other's T-shirts off. Robin and I had heard about that. We were warned, wear a bathing suit under your clothes. Make sure you tie the back of that bathing suit. Wear a couple layers of clothes. It gets rough out there. They were chanting, "There aren't any tomatoes, you're lying." Finally, a guy made it up to the top of the greasy pole.
And then all of a sudden, everyone kind of like braced themselves. They knew the trucks of tomatoes were going to come down the street.
I arrived on the second truck carrying tomatoes with our producer, Jerry, who had a camera in a watertight bag. The truck was full of guys who were already covered with tomatoes, sitting on top of them, and this, it must be, you know, 10 or 15 feet deep. And so the trucks take off, and there's all this feeling, you know, just electricity around these trucks where people are just ready to cream anyone. The first truck takes off, and they went a little bit ahead of us, and as they round the corner, they just started chucking tomatoes at people all around them. It was a hailstorm of tomatoes. People just getting pummeled.
And you're supposed to squish them a little so that when they hit you, they don't knock you out, because they're pretty hard. And I don't think they kept to that so much in the first round. I mean, I got hit, and it was like, oh, it hurt.
The first truck rolls by, and I thought, is this it? I mean, not that big a deal. A few tomatoes came down. I didn't even get my hands on a tomato. I did get hit with a couple. I got hit with one right on the side of the head, and that hurt. And the truck was gone. Then a second truck came through, and a third. And then it started to really get very, very scary.
As you're throwing tomatoes and the truck starts to empty out, you sink lower and lower into the truck. So you start off by throwing down like this. Next thing you know, you're down lower and your heaving piles up. And every time I would stick my head up, I would get beamed with a tomato. And I got hit 3 times, dead square, right in the nose. truck starts to dump, you hold on to this rope and you start running in place and kicking tomatoes out from under your feet. And at this point, there are enough tomatoes out in the street that it is total war.
There was nothing sacred. It was just tomato carnage everywhere.
We wanted to go find Barbara and Robin, so Jerry and I worked our way through the crowd, which was like being in Times Square, New York on New Year's Eve. I found Barbara and Robin, just completely saturated with tomatoes. It looked like someone had barked on your head. You have all these tomato chunks you have in your hair, and we're wearing these goggles, you know, so we look like aliens from Tomato Land. You want to throw hard, and you want to aim, and you want to hit somebody, but every time you go to wind up lamely, you get creamed in the face.
And by like the fourth or fifth truck, there was at least that much tomato sludge on the ground. People are just picking it up and just throwing it at people, just like a wall of tomato paste would hit you in the face.
As messy and as aggressive as it is, it's not violent. It's just high-pitched, frenzied fun.
And I looked over by the gutter, and people were just swimming in the tomato paste.
It's for 1 hour, total chaos. And after that 1 hour, that shot goes off, and everyone stops. Like suddenly, stops. Everyone starts walking towards the river to get clean.
It's your one-in-a-lifetime thing. You're going to jump in there. You're going to have fun. And it was really, really unique.
It was just like being 5 years old again.
It was La Tomatina. It was a melee. It was like being in a giant food processor.
Well, that's about all the time we have right now.
See you next time on Travelers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, world.
Coming up next, Discovery Channel profiles the scientific